Yeah, hello everybody. I'm very happy to be here and speak in front of you and present a bit the corporate archive at Swarovski. And my name is Stefanie Bonsack, and I am not an historian. I studied archive management on one hand and economics on the other hand. So for Swarovski, the best combination. Every company archive needs, first of all, to know what the company needs and wants. So how can an archive contribute to the business success? And for Swarovski, it's, of course, the products. But before I tell you a bit how the archive is organized and structured, and I show you a bit our marketing initiatives, I want to start with a film about the archive we have produced last year, and we are very proud to see all the colleagues working in the archive. And that actually shows in 3 minutes what Swarovski Corporate Archive is about. So let's watch it.
Zu verdanken, dass unsere Betriebe so groß geworden sind.
So this is our marketing tool from the archive, and we are very proud to show that. And of course, we try to achieve the design of all the other marketing tools from Swarovski, but nevertheless stick to the archive and what we are doing, and also to the history. And the voice you heard is the founders saying, thank you to all the employees for their hard work, and it's only possible to be successful with all the contribution of all the employees. So, but as I mentioned before, when you talk about a company archive, you need to know the company very well. So I want to just give you a few facts about Swarovski. so that we know what we are talking about today. So Swarovski was founded in 1895 in Austria, in the Tyrolean Alps. The family actually came from Bohemia, which is today the part of Czech Republic, and moved to Austria in order to build up the company due to different reasons. And it's a family-owned business until today. It's 100% in family hands, which is also very good and important for the archive, because we have not only the history of the company, but also the history of the family, and that is both in one, because the family is so active in the business. So we have a turnover of 3.4 billion and about 31,000 employees worldwide. This is not that big. Our brand is very strong, stronger than the company is. And most of the employees are shop staff. So we have only a few production sites, and the most important and biggest is in Austria. So we produce the crystals in Austria. And it's headquartered in Austria and the end consumer market in Switzerland. But actually, the Swarovski Group is 3 companies, but most of the people know the crystals, but not Swarovski Optik and Tyrolit. Swarovski Optik and Tyrolit belong to the Swarovski Group. Swarovski Optik was founded in 1949, and they produce binoculars for bird watching and for hunting. And Tyrolit was actually the second oldest business next to our core business. They produce grinding and dressing tools, so they actually produced our grinding and dressing tools to cut our crystals, but today they're completely focused on the car industry. They are very small, so the core and the biggest business also today is the crystal business, and we have different brands here, but the second row, the Swarovski Professional, is the core business. The single loose crystals, cuts, colors, everything that we provide for our customers, for jewelry, for fashion, for architecture. The consumer goods business is not that old. Actually, the first store opened beginning of the 80s, so it's for us quite young, but very strong today. And then we have also other brands, for example, lighting business. So we collect in the archive also a lot of chandeliers. And Swareflex. Swareflex is a very small business belonging to the crystal business, and they produce glass reflectors for road safety. And this is also all due to developments to improve crystal, and so they found new ways to do it, to get independent from suppliers. So that's why we have this strange assortment of businesses under the umbrella of the Swarovski Group today. So the archive covers all the topics, because you cannot really divide it. It's all family, it's all in family hands. So, and Swarovski Optik was founded in the crystal business. And then in 1949, they decided to become an own company. So we have files and records and letters mentioning all the businesses and family topics, and we cannot just cut the files and records. So we decided to go for the whole group. And of course, the Swarovski Group archive actually is, as all the businesses from Swarovski, also organized within the crystal business. That means we belong, of course, like many other company archives, to corporate branding communication that influences a lot our work and our focus as an archive, of course. So for corporate branding communication, responsible is Nadia Swarovski. She's based in London with corporate branding communication. We are based in Austria, where the roots are, and that makes sense. We now really want to centralize everything, that all our customers and designers really have to come to Austria. But we are very happy to have a dotted reporting line to her directly, because it's a family business and the archive is the property of the family. So that makes it easy for us and challenging at the same time, because, of course, as a family archive and a family company, there are a lot of politics going on. So the archive was built up actually established in 2006, so we are only 11 years old, starting to collecting everything. There was a first initiative, 1995, when we opened the Kristallwelten in Wattens, which is a huge museum, but it's not a museum to show the history of the brand, but to show crystal and art together. So there are a lot of designers and artists showing their version of an art piece with crystal or about crystal. And that was the first thought about, yeah, maybe we need an archive, but they didn't do it. So in 2006, Swarovski ran its first brand campaign ever, not about product brands, but about the brand Swarovski. And they thought, okay, we really now should know our history and not having 20 different versions of it. So we started as a one-man band, actually. It was me and another colleague, part-time, who was in charge of the family archive. And we started 2006 to build up the archive and to see and to collect things. And my boss, who was the head of communication, said, yeah, welcome to Swarovski, but actually we don't have so much. But you all know people are collecting things and love to collect, so all the employees collected a lot, and we found a lot. So, of course, today we exploit added value and establish corporate identity, marketing, blah, 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 but important. The corporate archive in numbers, so 11 years old, we now today have 222 collections. We have 120,000 pieces, products. That's 60,000 crystal finished products, which is jewelry, the things we produce, the things our customers produce. 30,000 single crystals, and that's important for us because it shows the technology of Swarovski and its competence in technology and development. 30,000 objects, museum objects, like machines, personal items of the founder, etc. 2,000 meter records, files and records, 50,000 audiovisual media, 5,000 construction plans. We have about 500 queries per year, and we have circa 1,000 archive guests. I will show you later what we do, which is not that they all come and do researches. That would be crazy for us. But they come, they get an introduction into the brand, as we have no museum, so the archive is now the museum. And of course they have time, especially the designers, to do researches and to get inspired. And one number is missing, and this is the size of the team. Because I don't, as this is a PowerPoint presentation also flowing around in the company, I only say the numbers of the team when I have the chance to explain it, because it sounds big. We are 10 colleagues in a company archive, which is a lot, but not all full-time. We have about 40% part-time. And there is one pillar that we cover, which is the customer visits to the headquarters. Has nothing to do with the archive, but they are, of course, come to the archive to get an introduction. And it's historical development why it's now under the umbrella of the archive. But colleagues cover this part are not archive colleagues, and that's why I don't show the number without explanation. We do the classic collection management, so archiving, inventory, logistics, warehouse management, database management. We just changed our database. Packaging and shipment, because we make a lot of loans. And cleaning and repairing, where you have one part-time lady who really helps us to clean and repair all the products when they go to exhibitions, when they return. And of course, the main focus is for Swarovski as an emotional brand, as a consumer good brand. Our focus is, of course, the heritage communications, because we are happy. We have great products in the archive we can show, and great pictures that marketing people like also. We don't need to convince them. We are in a lucky position. So we do a lot of heritage communications. We run own tools like milestones, brochure, and film, like classic tools. And we have a catalog of all the pieces, because we collect a lot of designer pieces with Swarovski crystals, but it's not our products. But we have them because it shows the history of the company. And that shows actually, especially for jewelry, the development of custom jewelry in the 20th century. So we want to make it accessible, not only for the company, but also for others. And we work on an online version as well to make it easier accessible. Of course, publications, and we curate a lot of exhibitions. So, as seen in the film, our major responsibilities are restoring and preserving, and that's important. We don't talk about it in the Swarovski archive because nobody wants to hear it in a company like Swarovski. They want to see the product, so we say, yeah, we curate and inspire and, you know, contribute to the business. But in fact, we need a base, a professional base to run an archive. So, of course, we do restoring and we preserve. But as this is a history marketing summit, of course, also today I will focus on curation inspiration. We curate exhibitions run by Swarovski in all the countries because that supports the brand value, and we've seen the heritage part of the brand value, and it's a big part at Swarovski. We love to tell our history because our competitors are so young and we are so old, and we really have a USP here. So it's 26 exhibitions per year, and just a few numbers, 32 shipments to 13 destinations. And this was all last year. And we sent, of course, 800 pieces around the world. And this is just to show, you know that, but marketing people don't know because they work a lot with agencies. We have to do it all by our own. We organize the shipments and we do the packaging and everything because it's easy to send around the globe new pieces. You can repair them. But what about a 100-old brooch? If it's broken, it's broken. Maybe you can do something, but we really have to be very careful here. And of course, we are lucky because all the marketing teams and countries request the pieces from us because they are so beautiful. So we can really show where we exhibit historical pieces. But we use also our stores. You see here the pictures, of course, fashion pictures, but also family pictures. So the heritage exhibitions globally are an important tool. In the end, it's, of course, for the PR, for the communications and marketing to do marketing today, but always talking about this. That's, by the way, Dennis Swarovski, the founder, to talk about the man, which is actually not true because it was 3 founders in the beginning. It was Dennis Swarovski, his brother-in-law Franz Weiss, and Armand Kostman, who was based in Paris, and he had the money. And he told us about the trends. So Daniel and Franz were the technicians developing everything, all the innovations. But Armand Kostman died and had no family, so the shares came back in the 60s. And the family Weiss is still shareholders, but not active in the business. So today we talk about the man, and today we talk about the fashion brand. But he was an engineer, so it was all about craftsmanship in the beginning. So we try to cover this as well, but it's not easy because marketing wants to show the fancy, sparkling stuff. So as we do not have a museum so far, the archive is the museum. And for the company, it's today very important to give access to our customers to see the archive. And it was only, I think, 2 or 3 years ago when our marketing people came into the archive rooms and said, this is the archive, we cannot show this to our customers. No, yes, it's a workplace. It looks like an archive looks like. And then we were very lucky because there was one designer and we couldn't bring all the stuff upstairs to the showroom, so they had to come downstairs to the archive. And he spent 4 hours and there was no way to get him out. And that was our luck again, because then they discovered, hey, yeah, there's something. we really can use. And why is that? Because the showroom is so clean and everything is so perfect, and marketing, of course, everything is approved. And but the designer really wants to discover things. Everybody wants to discover things, and he was so happy to be somewhere else where it's not clean. I mean, it's clean in our archive, but you know what I mean. We work there, and he can really discover things. We have many collections are not organized yet because we just do not have the time and the resources. But for him, it was just great, and that was a great push for the archive in the company to really open the doors and to show it to the designers. We have about 1,000 guests per year. That means we are very busy making archive tours instead of preserving and restoring and do all the basic archive work. But it's also a great experience for us as the one who actually work in an archive, because we meet and we have time with those people. And it's really a collaboration in a way, because when a designer comes to the archive, then we spend, for example, 5, 6, 7 hours with him talking about history and talking about, of course, about design, but actually about what we preserve in the archive. And designers get not only inspired if it's a jewelry designer by jewelry. They want to see everything. They want to see even the villa of the founder, the architecture. They want to hear the story of the company and the family. And it's not that you really can say, oh, yeah, we prepare something, there is someone coming and he's in charge of jewelry. No, you really have to give him access to everything. And that makes it, of course, great for us to work in the archive. So I think I can make a conclusion now. The conclusion is we are in a very lucky position, I know, because we have the products also marketing wants to show. So there is no convincing from our side necessary. But it was a long way to go, because in the beginning, they were like, history, I don't care. It's so dusty, and you know, we have sparkling fashion and Chanel and Dior and all the names. And then you talk about the founder. And the founder is an important man in the company. But then, you know, it's always like that. If another company, a big brand, our customers are focusing on vintage and everything, then we, of course, yeah, we have an archive, you know. You can come and see the archive. So it was a very long time and a very hard work, and it needed, I think, 6 years, so until 3 years ago, that we really could extend our team. So we were really two people in the archive doing that for a very long time. You see also a bit the archive rooms, sitting on the floor, very not clean, very not like the showroom. You see here, this is the showroom where the current collection is, and we have a lot of fun because they also love the archive tools, because normally they don't see it. And this is when we work with the designer, and you see he's not sitting on a clean table, he's just in the archive in front of the tools, the archive closets, and we work with him. And in that case, this is Todd Bontier, and he designed chandeliers right now based on old jewelry, so the chandeliers look like new, necklaces now. And that's because he loves the archive, so this is just great for us. And this is my last slide, just to talk also about the future of the archive. So the future for Swarovski, since 1895, Swarovski has shared its mastery of light and sparkle with the world. Yes, and the future, maybe the crystal knows where it goes for Swarovski. But for the archive, it's, well, clear, because we preserve everything that's Swarovski, which is an important part for the business history in the company, in the country. And this is the building. There is a production department inside, and they moved to a new building. And in 2020, we are planned to be in this building to really centralize everything, because warehouses in the world, in the beginning it was, yeah, you have to be in London and in Paris, but it costs a lot of money. And you can be at the headquarters in Austria, where you have all the buildings, and you can just bring the people there. And this is what we are doing. So we hope, when we get the budget approval, to be there in 2020. And you all, of course, are invited whenever you're in Austria to come. And of course, we work on the Swarovski Museum because we should talk about the brand and we should show the history of the brand. And for the Kristallwelt Museum, it's really that visitors say, well, that's nice, but what about, I want to see about your history. And this pushes us as well. And yeah, fingers crossed that it will work out. So this is it. If you have questions, you can ask now. It was really a short run through what we are doing. But again, we support an emotional brand with emotional products. So in a way, we are lucky.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Any questions from the audience?
Hi, my name is Filippa Lindström. I'm from a family-owned business here in Stockholm. And you mentioned that the archive is the property of the family. Is that the property of the family in another sense than the business itself? Or do you mean that they actually own it separate from the company?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a 100% family-owned business. And they work in the company, so all the management is family, also other colleagues next door are family members. And the archive is company, is family. What I wanted to say is we belong, organizational-wise, to corporate branding communication and to one executive board member. But it doesn't mean that it's her archive. We cover, of course, everything, and we are more or less independent in our decisions, even though we belong to an organizational structure, because there is a huge family, about 70 shareholders, and they all have the same rights. Doesn't matter if the products we have from the end consumer market only owns the end consumer business. This is because there is a big family behind. But as it is a family-owned company and archive, we are not open to public. Of course, we support historians when they do researches, but actually they are today not allowed to really come and do researches by their own, because you find in every record, you find family-related things, and a family doesn't want to communicate about themselves. So. And we are only 11 years old. We try to handle this, and I hope we have a solution soon.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, my name is Monica. I'm a former tourism individual, so to speak. I'm a photographer today since 4 years back. But I was wondering, you mentioned you had the tourism part of the Swarovski family, so to speak, company. Could you explain a bit what that means? What the different products that are geared towards tourism?
Yeah, do you mean the difference between we are B2B and B2C brand?
Well, I just saw on your chart there, Swarovski Tourism Services.
Ah, yeah. This is the Kristallwelten, actually the museum. It calls Swarovski Tourism Services. We have it in Austria, and there are 2 other stores in Innsbruck and Vienna, and they are the only stores really selling every product of Swarovski. If you enter a classic Swarovski store, you will find their selection of jewelry and so on. They also sell like optic binoculars, for example. It's the name Tourism Services because in Austria they belong to the tourism because it's a site in Austria, and it's a different company. It belongs to the crystal business, but they are also independent in a way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? Bodil?
My name is Bodil. I'm from the Center for Business History. And I was wondering if you are collecting and preserving pieces and products from collections that are made today. Do you have that kind of collections?
Yes, and this is also actually not archive work in a classic way, but we do it. When a collection is old, we just have agreements that we get them into the archive. For jewelry, it's easy. They are not that big. So we don't need so much space, which is a cost factor in the end. But we also have a lot of sponsoring. We support a lot of young designers doing big installations. And we try to manage this, but the tricky thing with products in the archive, if you are a B2B brand, it's not a problem with our own jewelry today. But the problem with the B2B products, we have a lot. It's not so easy to exhibit them because of not only copyrights, but design rights and customer relation. If we have, for example, a problem at the moment with, I don't know, fashion brand, Dior, it's not good to show and communicate our history, our collaboration with Dior, and we should ask the brand if it's okay if we focus on that topic. But we are not a business society or a museum. We are a company, a supplier or competitor. So we in the archive really need to check if we can do it, if it's allowed, if it's good for the business, if we show it. Otherwise, and that's why I showed you the heritage exhibition slide and 26 exhibitions, of course, not all run by us, but they all ask us for approval to be sure, because we are in the headquarters, if it's okay to show this brand right now, just to be on the safe side. This is the tricky part for a company archive, having pieces from other brands. It's not easy to have them for exhibitions for our own. So we are close collaboration with legal here.
Last question from anyone? Yes.
My name is Magnus Manson. I have a background in science and technology. You mentioned that you have a very long history compared to your competitors and so on. Does that give you a technological advance? I mean, you started 1895, then one didn't know about atoms, not about lattices. The way of handling lights and so on were not invented. Are you leading the technology development, or are you looking for your other opponents you have to, maybe something like the mobile telephone will come up in your business?
Yes, in a way. Why was Swarovski founded in 1895? Because Dennis Swarovski developed a machine to cut crystal, to cut more crystals at the same time and the same quality. Until then, it was really like putting a single crystal between two fingers and cut it. And this was, he traveled to the first electrical exhibition in Vienna. Siemens and Schuckert, they showed their inventions in terms of electricity. And that's the reason why he founded in 1895, because of his patent, the company, and the decision to not do it in Bohemia, where the market was for crystal cutting, but in Austria. I mean, at that time it was Austrian-Hungarian monarchy, but anyway, it was far away from Bohemia. So, because of the competitors. And it was also through all the history like that. The technology part is our competence and strength. It's not the crystal, because it's crystal glass in a way. It's not a diamond. But the technology, how we cut a crystal, how we color it, that's what actually Swarovski is all about. And that's why we have a huge know-how protection. And today we have an innovation team that's always traveling around the world, find new ways of having a crystal, for example, with electronics, wearables, fitness tracking, all what is in future possible. So they travel to these crazy fairs where people show what will be probably an all-day piece in, I don't know, 50 years. To find new ways to go, to be and to stay an innovative brand. But maybe it means, and this is the discussion right now, to have the crystal on one hand and something completely different on the other hand.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming here today.
Thank you.